You have just reached the castle age. Select your town center and train as many villagers as you can with your remaining food. Set a rally point on trees for now.
You thought this was a war game? Today we're playing Farming Simulator. Let's grow. Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how to get the gold medal with a controller in Art of War Challenge 3, Booming. First thing you're going to want to do is queue up some villagers and make another town center. In a normal game, it's most common to go with 3, but for this you want as many as you can get, so I'm going to build like 5. For placement, just drop them quickly anywhere that won't have a lot of walking time. In a ranked match, it's worth taking a second to think about the TC placement, making sure it's both efficient and protects at least one resource. But that doesn't really matter here. So you just want to get as many TCs pumping out villagers as fast as possible. Some farm space is useful, but you don't need to worry about laying these out cleanly or even placing the farms perfectly to still get the gold. If you get housed in this though, it's basically time to restart. So grabbing 1 or 2 vills and just making them dedicated builders to add houses as you get the wood is a good idea. Just be careful not to go overboard queuing up tons of wood into the houses before you get those TCs up and running. Assigning those villagers to a control group can make it easier to find them quickly again when needed. For this, I've got my Y shortcut set to farm to make it easier and quicker to place the farms. To do that, you hold Y and then just press left or right on the D-pad to cycle through the options. When you let go, it'll confirm the new selection. Another method for placing farms that's actually faster is to use the site menu on your mill to build the farms. This auto-selects villagers and places the farms perfectly, but you don't get control over which ones it's going to select, so it can throw your economy out of balance if you just spam it haphazardly. Something that I've been doing lately in ranked matches is I'll send a group of villagers all to build a mill together, 6 of them. And then when you see the idle indicator pop up, you can snap back to that mill and use the site menu to quickly place all those farms, and it'll grab those same 6 that were standing right there next to it. This of course does come with the risk though that you forget about them, like I often do, and then you've got 6 idols just, standing there for all eternity. But the site menu, it's still pretty cool, and it works better than it used to when the game came out. It now does reliably grab close villagers. They won't do the thing where it grabs them from across the map anymore. So your starting stone here isn't enough to build all the TCs you need, and it's not going to be worth the time to mine any stone. You could if you want to try to build a castle, but that makes this so much harder. It's a whole lot easier just to use the market and to go with the 2 wood buildings for your requirement to age up. The game suggests getting your eco upgrades as you go, which is great advice for a real game, but they take time to pay off, and idling your TC to do the research, for handcart here, hurts a lot. So I found it a lot easier to get the gold in this by just skipping those upgrades. So you might have noticed I'm cycling through my TCs here one by one, rather than using select all. So when there's not enough food to queue up the entire selection, the units can back up in the first building's queue, leaving the additional town centers idle. Another thing to watch out for is see these 2 lumberjacks over here working on those stragglers, that when the TC goes up, it's going to just send villagers wherever to what's closest, like these stone miners. I don't actually want anyone on stone. A way that you can control this, of course, is if you use left trigger, you can shift queue the builders to go to whichever task you want when they're finished. This aspect of the challenge is actually one of the more direct and practical applications to real gameplay. Really good practice here for just having that cadence down where you get in the habit of quickly checking up on all the details around your economy, like gather points and idols and all that, without having to actually stop and focus on it, as the pattern eventually just becomes second nature. Once you've got enough food income to keep the TCs queued, it's time to get some villagers to gold and make the buildings so you're able to click up. I went with University Monastery, but it doesn't really matter. The Siege Workshop actually does build 20 seconds faster than the University, so going for Siege Workshop Monastery would actually be the best choice. But once you got those buildings up, you're pretty much just on the glide path to Imperial. Just keeping the TCs running, keeping an eye out for idols, and making sure you've got enough houses to actually hit that 100 villager mark. So if you're going to try and math this one and build exactly enough, don't forget about the scout. Which might seem obvious, but I did actually fail one time by getting housed at 99 villagers because after focusing just on booming the whole time, I forgot about the scout. Anyway, so here's that 5th TC going up, and most of the time, a 5 TC boom would be ill-advised as you're making too much of a sacrifice in terms of army production and map control. And spending that extra stone on so many TCs would make it difficult to get as many castles up as you'd want as quickly also. Which is actually the same reason why you don't see players doing full stone walls that often. because spending the stone on not castles is a really big sacrifice, as castles, especially in Castle Age, are really, really powerful. So here's a situation where using that site menu over the mill would have been definitely the better way to do this, as I'm running out of farm space and I spend kind of a lot of time like hunting for the perfect spot where the farm will actually fit. And when you do the site menu thing, it just like spams them out as quickly as you tap it and will place them in the best spot that it can immediately without you having to search for it. And similarly, another tip to do this more efficiently than what you're seeing me do is you can grab the market in your find menu by holding both triggers. Throughout this, I've been wasting time scrolling back over and clicking on the building manually, which in a real game is going to cost you time you could spend fighting. When you're getting close to that 100 villager mark, you want to double check that you're going to actually have the resources banked to click up. I continue to just abuse the market, but removing some villagers from the queue would also be another way to free up some food. Boom! That's how you get the gold medal in Art of War Challenge 3. Thanks for watching.
Well done. You have 100 villagers and are advancing to the Imperial Age.